What are the 5 allocated bottles of bourbon that I would keep? Let's find out. What is going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, bringing you guys a brand new video. Today we're going to go off of a little spin on the only keep 5 bottles of bourbon challenge. Today we're going to do the only keep 5 bottles of bourbon that are allocated. But there are some parameters that we have to follow in this list. Number 1, you're only allowed to have one BTAC item, whether that be the William Larue Weller, the George T. Stagg, the Sazerac 18, the Eagle Rare, or the Thomas H. Handy. You're only allowed one of those. Number 2, you have to have one that is 100 proof or less. Number 3, you have to have one that is finished. Number 4, you're only allowed to have one that is over 130 proof. And number 5, you have to have one that is 15 years or older. If you're new to the channel, make sure you drop that like. Let me know down in the comments what your 5 allocated bourbons that you would keep down below are. If you're brand new, smash that subscribe, because as always, you could have this very nice, beautiful Blanton's bottle. At 5,000 subscribers, we're giving it away. But before we get to my list, I have to thank today's sponsor, Give 270. Now, have you wanted to get your hands on very hard to find bottles of bourbon, such as the Pappy Van Winkle 12-year Lot B, or the Colonel E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof, or something simple such as Stagg Jr. This is us people, normal people, can't get our hands on? Well, look no further than give270.org. Give 270 gives back to the community by doing fundraisers for other nonprofit organizations. To date, they have raised over $725,000 to give back to communities. This month, it does not stop. This month, Bourbon Strong is a 50 for 50 raffle. Simply put, purchasing a $50 ticket gives you 2 chances to win some awesome bourbons. First, you will get a chance to win some amazing store picks from John O's Liquors, including Knob Creek, Angel's Envy, Whistle Pig, Wilderness Trail, Penelope, and Peerless, and so many, many more. Then your ticket will be put back into the raffle and back into the drawing for your chance to win some highly sought after bourbons. Pick number 1 will win the entire BTAC lineup. Raffle pick number 2 will win the Pappy 20-year. Raffle pick number 3 will win the Pappy 15-year. And raffle pick number 4 will win the Van Winkle 12-year Lot B. This Bourbon Strong will support the St. James Catholic School in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. So make sure you guys go check out Give 270 down below to support an awesome cause and possibly get your hands on some amazing bottles of bourbon. But back to the video. Alrighty, so for pick number 1, we are picking our one BTAC item. You've got 5 options here. You've got the George T. Stagg, you've got William Larue Weller, you have Thomas H. Handy, you have Eagle Rare 17-year, and the Sazerac 18. Which one am I gonna pick? I'm gonna go for William Larue Weller. I absolutely love my wheated bourbons, and I've heard so many great things about the William Larue Weller, the barrel proof Weller product. I haven't had a sip of it yet, but I can only imagine that it is just leaps and bounds better than Weller Full Proof, Weller Antique 107, and those lines of whiskey. Now, it's released once a year. Proofs vary, but I would love to get my hands on any of them. I don't care what year, what release date it was. Absolutely would love to get a William Larue Weller out of the BTAC lineup. Bottle number 2 that we're allowed to pick out of this entire lineup of allocated bourbons is the one that is 100 proof or less. Now for my 100 proof or less, I'm going to go for the Old Fitzgerald 14-year. Now I've had a couple of samples of Old Fitzgerald, and for a 100 proof bottle of bourbon that, you know, is aged from increments of, I think they have 7 up to 19 years now. The middle-aged ones, the 11, the 14, and the 15 that I've had so far are all so delicious. Their mouthfeel is insane. They don't have that over-oaked property that a lot of higher aged bottles of bourbon will have. They have that sweet complexity that follows through with a little touch of an oaky tannic note that comes through on those, but it's not overbearing, and that is exactly what I look for in a middle-aged, higher-aged bourbon. I don't like those over-oaked bourbons, and this, the Old Fitzgerald 14-year, the sample that I had, absolutely loved it, and that will be my 100 proof or less bottle of bourbon. Now for number 3, we are going with our finished bottle of bourbon, our allocated finished bottle. And well, I'm gonna go for the Parker's Heritage Orange Curacao finished bottle. I've had a sample of this. A sample was sent to me from my buddy Andrew Doc, and it is absolutely amazing. If you take the Penelope Valencia, bump it up a couple of proof points and age it for a little bit longer, this is exactly what you're going to get. And you're going to expect to get a very orange, fruit forward flavor profile off of that, and that is exactly what you get. But it is not overly sweet. It has that complexity that you were expecting from those older bourbons, but it gets that character from that orange Curacao that just transforms it into something that is completely different. Absolutely love the design of the bottle. Absolutely beautiful label, beautiful juice inside, and that will be my finished bottle of bourbon. Next up, for bottle number 4, we have to have one that is over 130 proof. In my head, I think a lot of us will pick this one, but I'm not quite sure if you're on the same wavelength as me. But I'm gonna go with Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. Now, these are hazmat and a half, right? These are pushing that 150. I think some of them might be over 150, but to be hazmat, it's gotta be over 140. And most of these are, and I would absolutely love to get my hands on one of those hazmat Coy Hills. The color is completely different than the Jack Daniel's single barrels. They're so dark, they're so rich, they're so complex. The flavor, from what I hear, just completely knocks you out of your seat, and you're not expecting that. And I haven't had anything that's hazmat before. My highest proof bottle is my Jack Daniel's single barrel at 131.9. So we're getting to that hazmat area, but it's not. I would love to get my hands on one of those Coy Hills and experience a hazmat. And for bottle number 5, we have to have one that is over 15 years old. And like I said earlier, I'm not a big snob on those upper aged bottles of bourbon. Anything over like 18 years, I just find to be completely over oaked, and I don't really enjoy that flavor profile. So I figured I need to have a Pappy on this list, right? I mean, I have the Pappy 12 year. I haven't cracked it open yet at 5,000 subscribers, so if you want to get me to 5,000 so I can crack that and give a review for you guys, make sure you drop that subscribe. But I think that for my 15-year or older, I'm going to go for the Pappy 15. I hear that it is the happy medium in the Pappies. You have the 10, the 12, the 15, the 20, and the 23. I can only imagine that that 23 year, even though it's so sought after, it's so hard to get, it's so expensive on the secondary market, I don't think that I personally would enjoy that bottle. If it was one that I would always have on the bar top, one that I could always keep forever, I don't think that I would enjoy that flavor profile that the 23 years gives to that bottle. And I think the same thing would happen with the 20 years. So I think that 15 year, that's a very, very nice aged range. 12 to 15 is absolutely right up my wheelhouse. Enjoy the crap out of the Knob Creek 15 year. 12 year bottles, absolutely delicious. So I think that that 15 year Pappy will be my 15 year aged bottle of bourbon in the allocated lineup. Now I'm going to challenge a couple of channels to go on to this ordeal and try and pick your 5 allocated bottles following my criteria. I'm going to challenge your drinking buddy. I want you to pick your 5 allocated bottles. You can have them on your shelf. You don't have to have them on your shelf, but I want to know what your 5 allocated bottles are. Next up, I am going to challenge Matt and Pat over at the Minor Bros. I want you to pick your 5 allocated bottles of bourbon. Next up, I'm going to challenge Kurt and Trenton over at SLB Basement Bourbon Bar. I want both of you to pick your top 5 allocated bottles following the criteria. And then I am also going to challenge Steven over at Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I want to hear what your 5 allocated bottles of bourbon following this criteria will be. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys go check out those channels that I listed down below. Go check out their channels and hopefully they'll upload this video soon. Until next time, this has been Nathan with The Everyday Drinker. Cheers.